So in this video, I want to talk to you about why academics are so pretentious. And this is a little bit of a tricky thing for me to talk about because I'm an academic and I'm kind of like outing the field a little bit. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I wanted to pay the favor forward to help you out as much as I possibly can. So there's something that happens when we label people or put a category on certain people. Then we often sort of group these people and we view them as different than our own. And we often do that. This is totally a natural sort of human thing that we do and how we process information and how we actually make inferences about the world is we group things together. And sometimes we group things together based on physical characteristics, and we're well aware of those things, but sometimes we also do that in terms of somebody's profession. And when we feel that there is another group that is different than our own, so for example, we imagine that academics, for example, are pretentious, then we don't feel good about that particular thing, right? So that's a normal way that we make sense of the world is we look at other people and then we say, well, what happens or how do we view these particular people? And the lens that we have, the sort of filter that we have on the world is often based on a couple of experiences that we've had, or maybe it's something that we heard about. So for academics, we often imagine them to be either kind of squirrely, or we often imagine them to be, pretentious. We hear that a lot. We often hear them as kind of like airheaded. All of these kind of things, these sort of images that we have, that's how we view academics, right? And so the question is, what I'm trying to get at with this is, why do you actually feel that way? I think that's the more important question, is why you actually feel that academics are pretentious. Because if you're watching this at this moment, you probably Googled it and you searched it. It's the way I imagine Google is YouTube is that what you end up doing is watching these videos at 2 o'clock in the morning because of something that you actually had or some experience that you had. So, what I want you to think about is, why do you actually feel like this? And often we have these sort of emotional reactions when somebody has challenged our beliefs, for example, and we're going through this sort of moment where we have seen the world slightly differently or somebody has questioned something. And that's usually, these emotional sort of responses that we have, these feelings that we get, that's usually a symptom of something else that's going on in your life and something else that is going on in the world. And I want you to sort of think about what is that and why you actually feel like that. Now, there are a lot of jerks in academia. There's a ton, right? They're normal people just like everybody else, academics, professors, researchers, whatever. There's a lot of jerks out there. And if you kind of look at the profession as a whole, there might be a little bit more jerks than other places because that there is status associated with it. And there's kind of like a climbing sort of ladder that you have to go through, that you have to sort of demonstrate to other people that you are better, and that's kind of part of the profession. That's how you actually get raises. That's how you actually get money and income and salaries and all that kind of stuff. Is you have to pretend like you're better than you really are. That's part of it, and some people do that really poorly. And when they deal with that, and they do that poorly, and they sort of make you feel like, I don't like that feeling. I don't like that sort of emotional response that I have. I feel sad. I feel angry. I feel that there is, I just don't feel good when I interact with them. And that is usually occurring because they have their own problems. And they are dealing with a lot of different things that they're not very good with processing. And they're not very good with communicating what is going on in their life. And so they'll often project, other people will project onto you and why they actually feel like that and make you feel terrible. Now, I know that there's a lot of graduate students that are doing this, and or watching these videos. And if that happens to you, just really, really think about what I'm saying, right? Like if you're advising professor or somebody that is at a different, that another professor or something like that that's happening, that they are being very, mean and aggressive and not so nice to you, they're being a jerk, they're dealing with a lot of stuff. And it's no excuse. I'm not excusing it in any sort of way. They shouldn't be doing that. And they shouldn't be put in that position to be able to do that. But you really have to think about, it's not you, it's them that's actually dealing with these things. And you don't have to tolerate it in any sort of way. And you shouldn't. And so you should, just put it onto them that they are dealing with this. Now, the other thing that I want you to realize is that the profession, and this is why I think sort of this jerkiness comes out, and not only is that there's a sort of status thing that we have to do in terms of demonstrating to other people, but it is the norm to question things, and it is the norm to, question everything. And if you're a real kind of jerky person, question absolutely everything. Everything could be questioned. There's nothing really that you could say that this is, definitive fact. You can question gravity. That is just a theory. Now, is gravity pretty substantiated and we have pretty good understanding of it? Absolutely. But if somebody wants to be a jerk, they can question it and make it a pain in the butt to you. And so there is this natural sort of skepticism within the career, and it's hard for all of us. I don't like that feeling when I'm put up against the wall. I don't like that feeling at all when there's other people questioning me and those kind of things. But if somebody is doing it in good spirit and they're really doing it to be helpful and to really, aid you, really think about what they're trying to do, in that they are trying to help you along, and you really have to respond to that. So what I'm getting at is there are a lot of jerks in this world, and not just in academia. There's a lot of jerks all over the world. There's lots of pretentious people all over the world. But if people are put into certain situations, and I'm not saying that anybody is different than anybody else, but if they're put in certain situations, they can act not so nice. And if you're watching this because somebody has done that to you, no, it's not you. It's them that's actually dealing with this. And they're not actually doing a very good job of communicating and helping you out. So I want you to reflect on that and think about what you would do in the circumstance. How can you be a better person even though this person is being just not so nice? And if that better person is standing up for yourself, then that's what you should do. And if that better person that you're trying to do is to, take a step back and remove yourself from that situation, you should do that as well. And I encourage you to do all of those things. What you should be looking for is becoming a better person that is helpful to other people, that you really have a good heart. And if you can get to that moment where you know that other people are not going to be not so nice, and there's lots of them out there, really think about that they are just dealing with their own problems. Come back to the realization that we're really just a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds, and some people just don't play well with others. And they haven't gotten to the point where they have grown to that moment where they realize that they don't play with others very well. Take a step back, plan what you need to do to actually navigate these issues that you're dealing with, and get to the next stage. Become a better person because of it. You don't have to be nice to them, but you can become a better person because of it. So with that, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a nice day. Bye.